What we're going to do on Tommy is we are going to take smaller sections now because this is a precision haircut. Whenever you do a real precision haircut, you need to take a little from a little from a little. And you need to be very careful around the ears also that you don't get it too short. And that's another good reason to take a little from a little, just in case. I'm going to part off from ear to ear. I'm going to start in her back. I'm going to part right down the middle. And I'm going to put my part in and use it as a guide. Now, I'm going to comb this side down because I don't want this to be a super short wedge. I want it to be a long enough wedge so that we can do a couple more haircuts on Tommy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the longest, pick out the longest piece that I want to aim for from the back, and I'm going to just kind of put my comb at that angle. And then I'm going to take a small section and I'm going to part it off for me all the way through this haircut. So I don't have to guess about the diagonal line. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Right out of the way. So I think I'll take about, this is going to be about, it'll probably be 2 to 3 inches in the back here. And in the front, I'm going to leave it at, just to be wet, at just below her jawline. We need to watch for those little cowlicks around the hairline that most people have. Now I'm going to start from the center, following the parting as my guide. I'm using a 6-inch shear, Bonika shear, because I like to use a longer shear in the perimeter because I can cut a cleaner line with a longer shear. Okay, now as you can see, her ear here kind of sticks out. Now if I just bring that down and with tension and cut it off, it's going to pop up when it's dry, and it's going to make a little arc there. To alleviate that, to eliminate that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put very light tension, 0 elevation, very light tension, put my fingers parallel to the parting. I'm going to push the hair right above the ear. I'm just going to bump it back. So can you see that little wrinkle that's in there? Let's see if I can get that. See that little wrinkle that happens right there? What I'm going to do now is, with just a little tension, not much, and this will seem a little tiny bit longer, and it's okay, because when we're all done with the haircut, she's blown out, I can go in and even it up, cut it off. About 15 degrees out from the head. Follow my guide. And you notice my guide is a diagonal forward guide. Now I'm going to take this up a little bit more. I'm going to pull this out, this layer out to 45 degrees. And that's where I'm going to stop. I'm going to pull all the rest of the hair down to 45 degrees. Starting from the center. Not a lot of tension. Let me get on the side so you can see better. Just a little tension. Pulling it out at 45 degrees. Cut straight off. 45 degrees. Cut it off. And now you can see I'm picking up a little bit of my side guide and joining it over to the other side. 45 degrees ahead. We just don't do wet haircuts because they always lay differently when they're dry. I'm going to do the same thing on this layer, starting from the back, starting from the center, straight down, pulling it out 45 degrees, and cutting it straight off at a diagonal. Tommy's got quite a lovely little cowlick around here. She's got a big whirl around here, so that's going to make, when this is blown out, it's going to make it a beautiful blowout. But I'm also going to show you how to correct anything that's not even in her haircut when it's dry because of her cowlick. Now I'm going to drop a little bit, and if you'll notice the parting that I'm making is going in a diagonal direction forward. I'm not going to take this out to 45 degrees. I'm going to take this out only to about 15 degrees on the side here. One little thing that I'm going to do, now you don't have to do this, but I like to, let me get her down a little bit here so I can reach her. There's one thing that I like to do in the crown area. Have you ever noticed when you do a one-length haircut and people might put it in a ponytail or they might push it back and there's like a long string that's like hanging down, a big bulky string. All I'm going to do, and I do this on most of my haircuts, unless the haircut needs to be perfectly from a side part and perfectly smooth, but then they always have that hair that's flipping over. So most people like that gone. So what I'm going to do is I just pick up the crown section of the hair. You can see that. See that little point on top. Very slight point right at the top. I'm just going to cut from this guideline to the other side, just that little point. I'm just going to take that off. And that's it. Now we're going to blow her out, and then I'm going to finish her haircut dry. This is just the base of the haircut. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check where I did the little ear thing. I'm going to check and see if it's too long or too short. Hopefully it'll be just perfect. Remember when I bumped that hair up so that it wouldn't get too short? I can see just a tiny tag right here. And this is when to cut those tags off. You might have, because of cowlicks in the neckline and around the hair, right at her ear, she's pretty darn good. I'm just going to take that little tag off. I'm going to comb around the rest of her hair, and this is when you check for things that don't belong there before you go through and texturize it. See those little tags under there? That's because she has cowlicks and things, and they're going to stay that way, but we don't want it there. So we're just going to take it right off. And that's where cutting the hair, checking the hair when it's dry, pays off. Those are the little things that bring you client. That little attention to detail. Okay, I'm just going to comb this back, and this is what I love about these old wedge haircuts, the way they lay. Isn't that classic? So classic. A good, beautiful, just a beautiful bob. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play with my little 4.5-inch scissors. I love these little scissors for control. When I want to control what I'm doing on the interior of a hairdo. I'm going to section off all around the head in 4 sections. And I'm not going to change the form of the haircut because the form is already there. I have found, for me, it's much easier to put the form in quickly, wet, dry it, iron it, and then go in and put all the texturizing in. I know some people do it all at the same time, but for me it just doesn't work as well. Because I'm a systems person, and I really like to see the system going on while I'm cutting. small sections. I'm going to start right in the middle. I'm going to drop the bottom hair out because I don't want to take that perimeter line out. I want the line. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let my scissors be loose on my fingers, and that's why these little ones are so great. Now what I'm going to do is as I'm closing my blade, I'm going to slide my scissors up and down. And what's really doing is just thinning the hair out. But when you get done with it, it is such a beautiful feel. And look, it's just, remember the old Brett girls? That's the kind of look it is. That swingy hair. That old-fashioned slithering thing again. I guess I should give it a new name, but that's how I learned it, so that's what I think of it as. I'm going to go in with my Wisper scissors and just take the ends off a little bit. I still want the length, I want the shape of the form, but I just want to take that hard edge off. Now what I could do, if I didn't have Wisper scissors, I would just take my regular scissors and point cut. That takes too long. You can see how it softened this side, kept the line in it, and this side I have not done it to yet. And you can still see it's that hard line, bold line. So I'm going to take this, and I'm picking it up horizontally. And you can do this with these shears because the teeth in them are slanted. So you don't get that straight across thinning scissor thing. Okay, I'm going to take another section down. Into it, and I'm really going to try to take some bulk out this time while I'm doing my slithering. You'll be amazed at the hair you see on the floor. You might not feel like you're taking any hair off, but when you look at the floor, well, look at this. You're taking off a lot of hair. I'm going to take my Wisper scissors again, drop out the hair that I've already done, and just going to take a little bulk out of there. Can you see how that the fullness, the weightiness of this bob is leaving, disappearing, but the form is still there. It's important that you open and close your shear with your thumb finger. If you don't, you're just going to be scraping the hair and that hurts the client, and you're not achieving what you want to achieve. Now I'm going to go around her front, and this is where it starts to get fun. I'm going to put some long vein or fringe on her, and I'm going to do a free hand. First I'm going to get the lightness into her sides, just like I did it in the back. This isn't used right around this receding hairline. Generally you don't have to take too much out because it's pretty thin there anyway. Just to lighten up the ends a little bit. Just lightening it up. I'm lightening it up, and I'm putting some layers in it. But they're scattered layers. They're not your typical straight layer. Can you see the difference? All that bulk and volume is out. It's the same haircut because I did all kinds of texturizing in there. I'm not going to take her bangs short, but I am going to go around her face and give her, it's already nice and light. But I want to give more of a shape to her bangs. And I'm just going to freehand a little bit of an arc starting at the tip of her nose and down. There's my guide. The nice thing about the shears that I'm using is that they have, you can use them you can turn them around. I'm going to take my 7-tooth chopper scissors now and go through the front of her hair around her face because I want it to be just light and airy and wispy. Now I could spend a lot of time going through this hair, taking just my regular scissors and sliding, slide, but it just takes forever. So with just a couple of little snips, I've got this fabulous, light, airy feel around her face. I'm going to pick this up vertically instead of horizontally to get rid of some of this bulk in here. Don't think you have to go out and learn new haircuts all the time. Just get the right tools, use the right tools, and you'll just be real modern. Now, as you can see, this is just a cute little bob. Thank you.